Good afternoon, friends, from a very rainy London. My name is Vikas Pota, and today I am delighted to bring to you a friend of mine, an interview with a friend of mine called Luisa Gómez from Colombia. Luisa is the president and chief executive officer of a philanthropic foundation called Fundación Compartir, and what they have been doing over many years now, over 3 decades, if I'm not mistaken, is investing in making sure that various aspects of education, various aspects of strengthening public services in the country of Colombia. Luisa, welcome to this T4 live stream. I want to start off by asking you, because those of us who are unaware of the history of Colombia, what we see at most times is, all this reference to the conflict that Colombia has had for over 60 years. And we'd love for you to tell us a little bit about the origin of that conflict. And then we progress this discussion in many different ways. But the question and the theme that I'd like to lead on today is to ask the question whether philanthropy works, and if it does, to use examples from your history and your work and your strategy as to what role that it's playing in strengthening society in your country of Colombia. So welcome once again to this T4 live stream. Luisa, tell us about the origins of the conflict in Colombia and why they came about in a succinct fashion, if you may.
Okay. Good morning to everybody here in Bogota, Colombia. It's morning. It's 9 a.m. and it's sunny. I'm sorry to say, because it's very sunny. Well, think about Colombia, a country with access to 2 oceans, with all the climates, with all type of products, beautiful products, flowers, fruits, whatever you want to think about, we have it here, most of it. And we have 40-something million people, hardworking people, living in a very unequal society. Here, the rich are very rich and the poor are very poor. And in the middle, there is very, very little people. So that's the origin of the conflict in Colombia. We are a democracy. I have to emphasize that. We have been a democracy, and we elect every 4 years a new president, and it's freely elected every year. We have, at the beginning of the conflict, just 2 parties, the Liberal and the Conservative Party. Right now, we have more than those 2. We have 5-6 parties, and we have a lot of people from the left right now, and people from many ideologies. But the conflict began and has been there still, I would say, even though we are in a peace project, because we are a very unequal society, really. And 60 years ago, many farmers and people who used to have land in the countryside, in urban areas, decided to go to the mountains and fight, because they didn't have the land they needed, or they were taking away their lands, and they had very little to work with, and they didn't have what to eat. And in many territories, many youngsters joined the guerrilla because they didn't have what to eat and what to do. So that's the main issue, and that's why when the peace agreement was signed, one or the most important point of the peace agreement was and has been rural development and improvement of education in the country as a whole, but especially in rural areas.
So, Luisa, thank you for that. Tell me, when did the narcotics trade become infused with this conflict, because that's been quite a lethal combination, if I'm not mistaken.
It's true because like 30 years ago, well, we have the surge of narcos and narco traffic, and it's a very good business. I mean, we have a huge territory where coca grows very fast. It's a very easy growing plant, and Colombia has the perfect climate, and we have a large space in the country which is very isolated, and over there was the guerrilla. So the narcos, the best way to protect the plants and to ship the plants from one place to the other, or the leaves from one place to the other, was to negotiate with the guerrilla the ways to transport and to take care or safely the product of those plantations.
And so in that context, I mean, your foundation has been running, like I said, if I'm not mistaken, over 3 decades. The question that I want to ask is, in that context, does philanthropy work, and what have you been doing as an organization in all these years to strengthen society?
Well, I think that in Colombia, we have lots and lots of foundations working in different areas, working in employment, education, health, well, we have been working for 40 years now, and we started working with very underprivileged people all over the country who were suffering from not having homes, appropriate homes, or a roof over their heads. So we decided to start working on building very simple but very beautiful places for them to work, to live, and especially to provide them with water and electricity, which was very important because we have lots and lots of slums where people have a very basic home but without water and without energy. So that's what we wanted to do. And there are a lot of foundations working the same way as we do. We work all over the country. There are other foundations working more locally. We are a very center country. Everything is run in Bogota. Most of the programs are thought in Bogota. So it's very good that many foundations have been producing more locally funded and more locally thought programs for people. And I think in those terms, philanthropy has been working very, very well in Colombia. And many of those people working in those foundations are thinking a lot about education, health, and employment. Those are the 3 most important.
And how is it that you contributed directly towards peace?
Well, from the beginning, we have thought that education is the best way to fight on inequality in the country. Good quality of education. We have always thought that. And we work on that for about 20 years or more than 20 years. And 5 years ago, when we signed the peace agreement in Colombia, the Fundación Compartir decided to create programs more directly connected with the peace agreement. First of all, we decided to work with more enthusiasm in rural areas. So we have been researching the quality of education in rural areas. We just produced a book which analyzes the training and well-being of teachers in very far away placed schools in rural areas where there is still is violence and poverty. And we also have been working on a special award called the Peace Award. And what we award is programs developed by teachers. We award teachers which we have been developing programs very well constructed in order to build peace in the schools and in the classrooms. We have been learning from them, and what we did was to go over all the teachers that we had awarded 20 years ago before the prize, looking at their proposals, learning from their experiences, and through those experiences and that learning, we created the Peace Award.
That's wonderful to hear. Tell us a little bit more about what you do in education currently. I know that we have a few things in common. Maybe
Yes.
you can tell those that are listening to this, because this is also being live streamed on the T4 Facebook group, which has nearly 30,000 teachers who are members of it. So tell everyone about your work in education.
Well, we started working in education more than 30 years ago, building schools. We were able to build more than 50 schools, and we then went into managing schools, and we learned a lot from that work. From that work, we learned that teachers are very important and that principals are very important in order to make students learn better. So after a few years of managing schools, we decided to create the teacher award, Compartir Teachers Award. And that award dignifies and awards the best teachers in Colombia. We have been doing that for the last 20 years. And for the last 5 years, we have been awarding the best principals. Last year, as I was telling before, we had the Peace Award, and we also created the STEM Award for teachers working on science, technology, mathematics, and engineering. We also have a website which has been used by mostly teachers, principals, and students, but also researchers and parents. We have more than 7,000 entries a day, and over there we offer all type of information in order for teachers to teach better. We have MOOCs, we have interviews, we have research articles, all the things that teachers and principals ask us to put into that website.
Tell me something, Luisa. I mean, obviously, as someone who was very much involved in launching the Global Teacher Prize, where we first had an association through, one of the questions that I used to get asked, and I'd love to ask you now, because the shoe is on the other foot in this conversation, and you have been doing this prize for a long time. Where is the logic or the sense in spending money on a prize in Colombia for teachers?
Well, we think and we are convinced that if teachers in Colombia are better recognized, if we have many teachers see that their partners are recognized, we think that we can improve how students learn. We can improve together with that the profile of the students who go into teaching, and also we have been able to change national policy towards teachers in terms of salary, in terms of training, and in terms of well-being for teachers. So society needs to know that Colombian teachers are good and they work hard for their children to learn better. So I think that's the sense of our teacher award in Colombia.
So there's there's a body of thinking when it comes to philanthropy, where philanthropic organizations either go down one of these two paths, and I'm sure there are others. But one is that they see their capital as risk capital, so the ability to take greater risk as a private foundation in experimenting and trialing new things, in the full knowledge that they may fail. And then the other approach you have is to say that actually what we want is systemic transformation. And in education, that involves working with the public sector and with the Ministry of Education normally. And the two don't necessarily sit side by side. So, where does your prize and where does your work actually sit? Is it more in the risk capital side of it, or in the systemic transformation of education provision?
The second one. We have been working together with the Ministry of Education and with secretaries of education in localities and regions of Colombia. We work together with them. We even have local prizes where secretaries of education in all regions in Colombia try to create a prize for teachers in their regions. So what we want to have is to make everybody think and yes, to think about what teaching really is and how important it is that we all support the teaching profession. So we have been working with the Ministry of Education, we have been working with local governments, but also with other foundations in Colombia in order to make this happen. And
but
also with universities, yes.
Luisa, one final push, and please forgive me for being so persistent in this approach.
It's okay.
Isn't this the role of the Ministry of Education? Why should a private philanthropic organization do something that the government should be doing, or is actually mandated to do?
Well, as you know, many ministries have to deal with the day-to-day emergencies. And at the beginning, when we thought about the teacher award, it was like, hey, this is a very good idea from the ministry. You do it, and we will go to the ceremony, and we will go with you and award the teachers. Right now, the ministry has another award, very similar to ours, and we help them with that award too. So we are very happy to see that it was like 5 or 6 years ago, the Ministry of Education decided to create their own award, and many local governments have created their own award. So this is very good. We continue with ours because we have different criteria for selecting the teachers, but we are very happy, and we help the other organizations that are creating new awards.
I always used to say, Luisa, that my theory of change, and that's a great question that you get asked all the time, what is your theory of change? My theory of change was quite simply to celebrate teachers.
Right.
It's as simple as that.
Yes.
Because of the incredible role they play, and it requires all of us to do that. We are sitting in the midst of the biggest learning crisis of ever. And actually, before the crisis, we had the teacher recruitment and retention crisis in many parts of the world. And so in order to make sure that the next generation actually thinks about teaching as a very attractive profession that they should join, we need to do everything to boost its status. And so your prize, I think, is testament to the efforts being paid by philanthropy to join hands with the public sector. So many congratulations on that.
Thank you very much, Vikas.
So finally, I want to ask a little bit about your involvement with T4. And, in the first conference that we had on the 30th of May, you put your weight behind it, and there were many Colombians who took part. And now we're partnering again on the 5th and 9th of October for World Education Week. Can you tell us a little bit why you've decided to do this?
Well, I think that Colombian teachers have to get involved in all these projects. And the way for them to get involved in that is that we get involved in that and we invite them to participate. I have to tell you that this year we won't have our teacher award because we cannot visit the teachers at the schools, but we are going to have our recognition for teachers, good teachers during the pandemic, teachers that have been doing different things and more innovative things. And we are going to do it the 9th of October as well. So we will have a big event, but also we will have small events as we have talked with group of schools. And I think you already talked to one of them, Paulo Jaramillo, that's right. They have a great group of schools working very hard during the pandemic and before to make things differently, to work together in collaboration with a management down to top, with a criteria of teachers are the leaders and you are the ones to change the way we teach and the way the students think about education. So all these projects that we have in Colombia, Teach for Colombia and others, I think they have to be known in other countries. And teachers in Colombia have to know that they are recognized, not only in Colombia, but abroad. Mm-hmm.
Well, please know that I'm very grateful to you for your partnership, for your friendship, for your support in everything that I am involved with. And I know that the entire community, the T4 community, is supportive of your agenda in Colombia in strengthening the teaching profession. So, Luisa, thank you so much for taking time out this Saturday morning, your time, in Colombia to participate in this T4 live stream. And I look forward to doing this again with you later in the year, if you'll permit me. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much, Vikas. Goodbye to everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.